Hello, and welcome to this Eyes of Harmony podcast. On this channel, we talk everything old, classic, new, and upcoming Who. And this is our weekly podcast, and not too much happened this week, except from one big old rumor mill
Just a bit.
of Jodie Whittaker is rumored to be leaving at the end of next series, or series and special maybe if they bolt them together. It depends.
Yeah,
I guess if they've already written the final episode and it can't really be rewritten for regeneration, they might just do one more special and be like, please.
Yeah, although we don't know that. I mean, Jodie, I think, said in some interview that she hadn't thought about it, but at the same time, that could just be like a deflection because people feign ignorance if they're under some sort of NDA or something not to say things like this. So
I mean, yeah, and maybe she hasn't fully made up her decision yet, but
yeah, and that was something I was sort of going to come on to because, like, I think there's quite a lot of people going off the fact that this is like practically confirmed, but I would this in the TV and film industry, it just simply isn't that simple always. It could be part of contract negotiations going on. We saw this with Henry Cavill when he was supposedly leaving as Superman around the same time that Ben Affleck was leaving as Batman, but Henry Cavill still kind of sort of is Superman, but kind of sort of isn't, because I'm not sure they fully
until they sign a new one on, it's not completely over, is it?
Supposedly he has actually. I mean, this is only rumors as well, but supposedly he signed on to appear in other movies now. Not necessarily his own solo Superman film yet, but supposedly he'll appear in some other DC films at least, which was the issue in the first place with that was disputes over a cameo in Shazam, which he never ended up appearing for, and they just ended up having a headless kind of Superman body. But yeah, I mean, the point is that it never is that simple, and it's not done till it's done. So, I mean, maybe there is a grain of truth to this. I mean, it's supposedly coming from a trustworthy source, but that it could be accurate, but also not accurate.
Yeah. I think there's definitely talks about whether she is leaving or not. I don't think this would have come out of nowhere, especially from this source, which is apparently quite reputable, and it was the same source who talks about Graham and Bradley Walsh and Tonson Cole leaving, which then turned out to be true.
So, although the writing on the wall was kind of up to that when I think even way back when like
Tonson Cole got a new American role, which probably didn't happen in the end, because
or maybe it's just being pushed back.
Yeah, maybe. But probably pushed back. But I mean, it didn't happen so quickly. But I mean, we know that like Jenna Coleman left the show and then changed her mind last minute to stay on for another series for series 9.
Yeah.
So
it's completely screwed.
It'll be interesting. So that means this series will be ended this year. So we could have a new Doctor announcement in the next 6 months, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Or if the series doesn't air this year, early next year.
Well, it'll probably be announced she's leaving, probably, if not this month, within the next couple of months, if it's true. Just because, they need to let the world know that Jodie's available again to, as an actress, because that's why they always do it so well. It's just, this. She's not going to be doing Doctor Who after this point. She's free to be, free to do other stuff.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I find it odd that, she joined the TARDIS in 2017, Christmas 2017. That's how long ago it was. It doesn't feel that long ago, but it was.
All the gaps. It doesn't feel like she's actually had that long to get into the role, particularly with the shorter seasons. But it has actually been quite a while.
Yeah, it's because 2019 just nothing happened, did it?
Yeah.
And then, that's why. See, this is the issue when you do this, because I think if they'd done season back to back, she might have done 4 seasons, but because you do like this big year break, and now obviously COVID got in the way, like it's quite understandable that after 4 years, well, she would have known since like mid 2017. Yeah. So it's coming up to 4 years for her. You kind of understand her wanting to pursue other roles at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
it makes sense. It makes sense.
I get it, like, but it's always a shame. Like, I kind of want an actor to be able to do 4 seasons, just because at the end of the day, the reason you'll get closer to an actor playing the Doctor is by how like long you see them as the character for. You know.
I mean that was the standard set by well, in particular by Patrick Troughton, who kind of pushed for like the kind of like when suggesting like to Peter Davison, for example, he said 3 seasons is kind of the max he would suggest doing it. I mean, it's kind of sort of usually stuck around that limit, give or take,
Tom Baker.
But yeah. But I mean, but in those days there was far more time. Like in the Patrick Troughton era,
they did it weekly. They did it like 48 weeks a year or so, or 50 weeks a year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there wasn't necessarily as many stories, but there were plenty of parts to those stories, which meant that filming was kind of and releasing episodes was a pretty ongoing thing. Like he would switch on the TV most Saturdays, and there would
be Doctor Who
most of the time be a Doctor Who, as opposed to now to where it's like one kind of small condensed block, which has been made even a smaller condensed block thanks to Chibnall's decisions.
Yeah, I still want to know what the process was behind all that, like, because not gonna lie, I'd prefer less CG in the episodes and more episodes. I think you can work sparingly with episodes. Like, I watched Midnight. I watched Midnight recently. It had like 3 CG shots. Still a fantastic story. Awards to Mars. So few. Still a fantastic story. Like, it really doesn't, like, seeing amazing spaceships and whatever isn't what I watched Doctor Who for. I watched it for like the adventure and stuff. If I wanted to see amazing CG space stuff, I'd watch a movie. I'd watch something which actually had, $1 million budget to it, not a TV show which has probably about, I don't know, I wouldn't know how much it would have per episode, actually. That'd be interesting to find out. Maybe like 120,000 per episode. Maybe $1 million for a season. I don't know. I don't know what the budget would be.
Who knows? But I mean, and I... Oh, sorry.
Well, it's like, Star Wars. That's what I'd watch for those kind of space battles, because people aren't going to be expecting that from a TV series. Or if they are, they're kind of ridiculous, And I guess it's down to what the BBC want. It's like, well, if they want to compete, then they've got to put the money where their mouth is. If they don't, then it should be find a different way to tell these stories.
Even then, I'd point out in Star Wars' case, in terms of the original trilogy, most of before George Lucas went over it with the special editions, they were all model shots originally, and they won awards for doing that as well. So in that case, it was effective use of using the resources and technology that they had at the time to create something truly, outstanding.
Yeah.
Whereas Doctor Who currently just feels like if we just slap it in CG, it will come out just fine.
Yeah.
And yet, and I pointed this out in like other podcasts, I don't think the CG in the current series of Doctor Who is that much of a step up from what we got in Stephen Moffat era, to where it warrants reducing the episode count and taking years off, just for the sake of that. Because that was the initial excuse, was just we want to put more energy into making the effects look nice. And I don't see it. Like I look at what I'm watching in terms of CG. It's just like this really isn't blowing me away. This isn't like, oh my goodness, this is such a massive step up from all the stuff which you got before. It's like, no, it's just, I mean, maybe certain things look better. Like the Daleks look nice enough in the last episode, for example.
Yeah.
But that much better than previous Dalek CG efforts. Like they had flying Daleks in like, especially like towards the end of the Russell T era, and like they weren't too out of place in any case. Like it wasn't that, you wouldn't. I mean, you could tell it was CG, and I think you could tell it was CG in the last episodes as well. To be fair, but just the upgrade comes with the changing technology as is. I don't really think it's actually on a technical level compared to the amount of resources they have currently that very impressive, particularly for this modern standard where we have Netflix shows and whatnot having all these like impressive
$1 million budgets. That's it.
Exactly. This isn't impressive, so why is there this constant need to cut back and reduce and shrink all of this?
It's the gap which I think has kind of killed it for Jodie and so on. But I mean, talking about like obviously then the next series 14 will be for the 14th Doctor. Hey, wow, numbers have finally caught up. That'd be kind of funny that the 14th Doctor will be the 14th series. Quite nice. Wow.
Yeah. It would be.
But yeah, so what do you think they'll go for a well-known actor, or they'll go for a kind of less known? Do you think there's going to be Chibnall nepotism in there again?
I don't think they. I don't think Doctor Who makes it a habit to generally go for well-known actors. I mean, sure, yeah, we've had Bradley Walsh, who was countrywide known, and we've got John Bishop, which is probably even less known, but still considered a celebrity. But I don't see like a anyone too big, particularly on this budget. I don't see anybody too big. But maybe somebody, maybe a known TV actress. I mean, but I don't. It's difficult to tell at this stage, really.
Yeah. Do you think they'll go for enough a woman or back to man?
I guess if I had to say, probably enough a woman, but I also don't think that's. I guess maybe going forward that won't factor as much into the into the casting process unless they have like a specific idea of the kind of person they want that Doctor to be, I suppose.
Yeah. I think they'll go enough a woman. I think Chibnall's going to stick to his era being the era of female doctors. Just because that's kind of his thing. So to me, that's probably what he'll do.
Yeah. I can also see this finally being the time where they cast like a non-white Doctor.
Well, they already did that with Joe Martin.
Well, it did. Well, I mean, like a permanent.
Yeah, I think that's what's kind of disappointing. Is the one time that they actually do it is like, this is like a side character Doctor.
Slash all the and all the flashbacks they had for like the previous timeless children, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, we haven't had a running on-screen Doctor. That's. Yeah.
So.
I think it's time. I think it had to happen.
Definitely. I'll be interested whether they go for a shift in tone or not, because obviously this Doctor, here's something that actually I was thinking about. Do you think the person who takes over the role of a Doctor should be aware of like the history of Doctor Who, as in they've watched the show or they are aware of it?
I think it's a very nice benefit because it sells like some of the callbacks a bit better and has well, maybe not so much on screen. I'd say, like in terms of like connecting with the fan base, I think it helps a lot. So especially like things like cons and such, it goes a long way in terms of, I guess, making the Doctor Who fans as en masse kind of take to somebody, I guess, as if they do have that connection and appreciation for what came before. I'm not saying that they necessarily have to be someone who they need to watch every episode and but just someone with an appreciation for what came before, I think does help. It's not necessarily, I guess, essential if you get somebody who is talented but not necessarily like a huge fan, but I really do think it came, really helped people like Capaldi like connect very quickly with the fan base. He was already a talented actor, but the more people looked into how much of a big Doctor Who fan it was, the more that the fan base came to really appreciate that.
That was the same with David Tennant as well, wasn't it?
And that too, yeah.
Because I think like, and this is why I was kind of like, I think Jodie Whittaker's a fine actress, but it was kind of handed on a plate to her rather than earn. To me, it's such a big role that I kind of feel like an actor should really try and earn it. Like have to do the research and look into it. I kind of feel like.
Well, I mean, I guess it might come down to kind of again the experience between Chibnall and her
obviously
on the,
that's why it was
Broadchurch.
Yeah.
Clearly, she was somebody who he trusted to take on such a role, and for what it's worth, I think with the material she's been given, and the direction of a character she's been given, I think she's made the best of it. I just don't really like the direction, the writing that they've taken her in. I really never got behind the bubbly personality, and like only recently when they've tried to make her a bit more grim, I guess, in a way, in like certain instances, has she actually kind of become interesting. But like the overly bubbly, excitable personality just
it becomes
never clicked with
while,
me,
doesn't it? I think it just
and there's a right way to do that and a wrong way. I just don't think they did it the right way, particularly in season 11.
It's being excited by stuff, but also you have to feel the weight of the danger, and I think that you never felt, because it was always bubbly excitement, nothing ever felt like there was a danger. It was kind of, I feel like that's, like when in David Tennant's first season he faces, the devil and stuff, there's like dark moments in there, it is, I don't think we got any of that kind of in the first season, really.
I mean, Matt Smith could be excitable, and to be honest, at some moments I wasn't too keen on that either. But
later Matt Smith was.
No, I'd say earlier Matt Smith.
Nah. I just rewatched series 5, and he is way more under control. Like, I actually prefer series 5 Matt Smith to later Matt Smith, because earlier Matt Smith, he wasn't all flapping his hands and getting hit in the head with a football, then doing karate hands. Like, early Matt Smith is actually way more. Like,
I mean, he was making up weird dances at weddings, and
I mean, that's like one moment. That's like his alien thing, and that was. Well, do you know the reason I was reading the thing that the reason he added the fez is because it was so confusing on which Doctor was Hugh, because they kept jumping back in time with the time vortex manipulator. Yeah. So you just add the fez so people knew which Doctor it was when.
Okay.
So it was interesting. I mean, it works. It's quite easy to follow the Big Bang, which I enjoyed very much when I rewatched it. But yeah, early Matt Smith is a lot more. I don't know. He's more like he had his funny moments, but he had a bit more serious. But kind of, I feel like in later seasons, Matt Smith kind of went a bit, especially series 7. It was a bit more just over. Kind of crazy Matt Smith. I still enjoy it, but
maybe in part 1. I think part 2 in particular kind of grounds him in like certain stories in particular, like on the way towards the end. Like you look at an episode like Rings of Akaten, or even like the final his final story. Like he does sell kind of the way at the more serious moments.
Yeah, and I think, do you think, because he went back, he watched, I think, Team of the Cybermen, he watched some, classic Doctor Who.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think? Yeah, I think that definitely helped, because he hadn't watched Doctor Who at this point. When he kind of got the role. I think he watched it before he did the audition, or maybe after. But he did do research. But I think when Jodie's talking about it, you can kind of tell that I don't think she's.
I think she watched bits of it. I think she said. I don't. Yeah, she. I don't think a lot of it. I guess is the thing.
Because from my perspective is, while I know it's like trying to do a new personality, it's not like all the memories are forgotten. So to me, I have to feel as an audience member, but also if I was casting the role of a Doctor, I'd have to feel that this person still holds the 2,000 plus years of memories.
Sure.
That's, to me, like that's what would be important, that you could still, like they always talk about the eyes being older than they are when you get a slightly kind of telepathic or whatever, in touch with time kind of character. It's like, oh, your eyes are old. I kind of want to feel that. I just don't. I feel like Jodie's version is like a fresh Doctor, a pre-Hartnell Doctor in some aspects. The kind of hasn't seen much yet. Do you get what I mean? I don't feel the
but then the series 12 gets shackled down with being a post-Hartnell Doctor. It's like it kind of feels like a weird kind of two different sides of it, and it doesn't all entirely come together. And again, once again, I'll say that isn't
that's not
necessarily a problem with her performance.
Direction,
like I said, I think she's making the best of it, but the character direction and writing, I think, has been sorely wrong throughout her entire era. And once again, it's not to say I haven't enjoyed like parts of her stories and her involvement in some of her stories. It's kind of been all over the place, and I can't say I really fully enjoyed her Doctor. Really,
due to that aspect. Yeah, I feel like, and what annoys me is they brought in this timeless child, like the major stuff in her second series. So now we've only got 8 episodes to wrap this all up in a nice bow, unless they want to stretch it into the next Doctor,
which they might well do.
Well, Yaz will definitely leave, I feel.
Probably, although who knows?
Will Dan the Ordinary Man leave? Who knows? Will he continue? Possibly, but I kind of see him as being a 1 season only kind of character.
That's what I see him as too.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Anyway, I guess we haven't really talked about like who we might. I guess like in terms. I mean, there's various names being thrown around in terms.
It'll be none of those names.
It'll be none of those names.
It won't be Chris Marshall.
Especially considering, like, immediately, like, on the night that it happened, Chris Marshall was trending. It's just like, no, not again.
It's just, come on. It will be every time. He just needs to guest star. But even then, they'll be like, it'll be Chris Marshall eventually. If we keep guessing.
If we keep trying to kiss Chris Marshall, it will be him.
If we keep trying to kiss Marshall, I mean, who is... But... yeah, I don't know. I think they will go for enough a woman. I hope they go for someone who's slightly older.
The only way I see that not being the case is if they get particularly, bit better. Like what happened with Capaldi. He was a well-known, gravitas, kind of actor, but and Moffat was just like, we're just gonna go with him because we would say no to that. I guess that's the only way I see it going another way is if they get somebody particularly, big or with a certain
unique kind of attributes and way of acting.
But
I really hope they go with a different kind of personality.
Absolutely.
If they go bubbly again,
Jodie too.
Electric Boogaloo. I don't. Well, do you know? I rewatched the Silurian one, obviously, in my Series 5 rewatch. Yeah. And it's funny watching that. There's so many Chibnall tropes, which is like the issue with like current Who as well. Like the use of a character with dyslexia, just it doesn't go to anything. He just is because inclusion and be dyslexic. I remember at the time watching it being like, oh cool, this kid might actually do something. He doesn't do anything in the episode. He just gets kidnapped and then he doesn't save the day or anything.
That shouldn't really be a character trait. Like if you want to depict somebody with dyslexia, just cast a dyslexic actor.
Yeah, maybe it was, but
like then that shouldn't then be the plot point because that is shown kind of by I guess
he did like a map for the Doctor, but I feel like at one point this is the thing. If you want to show like someone struggling, like maybe he had to read like a code or something so that the doctor could, plug it in, and you can't. This is the thing. You can't give these characters like just these attributes and then not actually write about the struggles that these people have.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a big point about it, yeah.
And yeah, what else? Oh, like the blue grass was kind of just, such a big thing that kept the Doctor to stay, and then it's just not really ever kind of brought up again. It's just kind of, oh, it's like the minerals are changing, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just all these elements, and
I guess just the reuse of like a lot of stuff that Doctor Who's kind of previously done.
Like,
we saw that a lot with the last Dalek episode, where it was kind of somewhat of a mashup of like a lot of previous Dalek stories, and the Silurian story in particular was just the original Silurians just retold, and that's been what in particular I really hated about that upon my first watch. That, along with the designs, I really don't like those designs of the Silurians.
I like the masks.
Because they're not Silurians.
I preferred it when they had the mask on.
It's still not. If it was a different alien, like a different, different creature, then sure, I would probably like the design of the mask. But none of that's Silurian. None of it's Silurian.
It's just a different breed.
Yes.
It's more Sea Devil, to be honest.
Why did they suddenly get human faces? That was never.
Yeah, it was never a thing.
The humanizing aspect of them originally is what kind of sold the whole because like the original Silurians in particular was of course kind of a,
Octoroks.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of have Octorok-ish heads.
I was saying like the original story in itself was kind of, a demonstration of kind of racism, only using, like these, aliens, which was kind of showing, I guess to an audience, especially back in those days, it's kind of going, well, this is the extreme, these are alien.
Yeah, it's making look how different. Make them look so different that they don't even look human. Yeah,
which is what was kind of so, what made the whole struggle that much more, I guess, relatable to an audience. Well, not relatable, but you get what I'm trying to.
It highlighted it to the extreme, because when you make it an extreme, you can be like, you're able to look at it better, and those who hold those kind of views against, say people who were racist watched it, if they start to see the extreme version.
Yeah.
Then it can kind of make them, when it's closer to home, you're like, oh, right, maybe my ideologies aren't quite,
Exactly,
right,
exactly. Which is why I think humanizing them in the way they did in the sort of Hungry Earth was just very misguided.
Yeah.
I just think that, it's just like, these are just green humans at this point. Like, it doesn't have that.
So I guess that means 14th Doctor for the 60th. Then, as we were talking about.
Well, assuming this actually pans out.
Well, I think
again, we don't know.
If she does stay enough a series, that she'd stay for enough for one. So I think, what they do a series this year, start of next year. Yeah, it would be the 14th Doctor's first season in 2023, probably, and then the 60th even in November would be my guess. So, a lot of pressure on that new Doctor. To carry that one. That'll be interesting, exciting.
Yeah.
Chibnall 60th, we'll see what happens.
Oh dear.
If not great,
how is he
going to
break
years.
the Doctor Who canon this time?
See, now what would you do then? Would you wait for the 70th and do a 70th anniversary, or would you do 75th anniversary?
Well, it's tradition to do something every 10 years. Usually.
They did the 25th anniversary for Silver Nemesis.
Yeah, I was about to say, and I don't know, to be honest. I mean, they could just do something smaller on the 70th and then do the big thing on the 75th.
Yeah.
Or they could do the big thing on the 70th and then
or
maybe
the show will be long cancelled by then. or a big hiatus. I really
That
hope.
too.
I really hope after Chibnall's era they take a hiatus of like a couple of years, and what they do in that time is they plan like 2 or 3 seasons run, like they plan the whole thing, because it would just make it such a more interwoven masterpiece, I think, in my mind. And then you could literally film it pretty much back to back.
Yeah.
And then the actors then available to do other stuff, because you shot, you know, all 3 seasons in like a real tight knit, you know, maybe like 2.5 years you could film all 3, and that would cover the 3 years.
I mean, I don't know if they actually do that though. Just
I guess it depends who you get to come onto the show, and whether they've thought about it before. Because I know that I got my ideas of what I do, and I'm sure there's other writers out there who would also, you know, have been thinking.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting. Again, I hope for, you know, a new generation to take over after this era. Like
I do think we need probably somebody younger actually manage ship for once.
Yeah, because it's been, you know, the generation who watched the classic, as I've said in multiple podcasts. I think it's now time for the next generation who grew up, you know, with the, you know, ninth and
I mean,
10th.
There's nothing necessarily wrong with somebody being a fan. Like even if, you know, the person who's taking over is younger, like, you know, having an appreciation for what came before is, you know, never a bad thing, especially for somebody, you know, in charge of like a franchise like this. But you could just get the sense in terms of Chibnall, in terms of his writing and such, he's just so, he almost feels kind of jaded on the whole thing. You know, so what I think, you know, kind of what the China's Child kind of feels like is just like, I'm so sick of all of this. let's just, you know.
Yeah, it does. I don't know, slightly disrespectful. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of a whole going back. That's one thing I'd never do. I would never go back and change before. But I mean, it's too late now, isn't it? But
yeah,
whatever Chibnall finishes it as, I just leave it as that, basically. Because I feel like if you're having to go back and change things at the start to now make the future a more interesting story, that's basically saying I can't come up with any new ideas, so I'm going to have to go and change everything back. Like, invent new characters. Invent, you know, and not just companions, side characters. They're the ones who really hold it together. You know, Riversong was a fantastic character. Like, she really was, because every time she pops up, you knew there was this overarching thing with her. And while, you know, its revelations weren't great in Series 6, every time she popped up in Series 5, I remember I got excited, because I was like, oh, are we going to find out this time? Are we, you know? And it's like, it's just that nice thing that just ties the whole thing together.
Yeah.
You know? And those are the kind of things that you need. Like the start of Pandorica Opens, I forgot about it, that it started with Vincent and the painting, then it went to Cabinet War Rooms with Winston Churchill, then, you know, Riversong in Stormcage, and then the spaceship in, you know, The Beast Below, the United Kingdom. Well, no, England, because Scotland's not there. But yeah, and like, you know, Riversong steals the painting from there. It's like, it was so nice, because you felt like you got this whole kind of series connecting, and it was like super big because all these places that they visited, you know. And I feel like that is such an important thing, and that's why series need to be planned and you know, quite far in advance, you know, even before the writing stage. I think you should always know where you're going to be heading somewhat, and I feel that Chibnall wrote the Timeless Child line in pretty late into
actually, well, I think
he said that he kind of had an idea from the start. But then why take a whole season to not introduce it? I know that maybe they were trying to let's do an easy season for everyone to, you know, join the show. But then the issue is then you dump the whole fucking Timeless Child thing. That's a long time fan kind of change to the series.
He seemed really determined not to do an arc in Series 11, only that he sort of did do an arc in Series 11, because, you know, by the end there was sort of a low-key underlying arc to it in terms of Graham's kind of.
I mean, those were character arcs. It wasn't really a story arc, and that's why people didn't realize the finale was a finale. Because, yeah, I mean, I kind of like to think that Resolution's the finale, just so we had a somewhat better story as the finale.
Yeah,
it was like only a couple weeks later, so
I think it has to go down as one of the worst finales. I think Doctor Who.
I think
has
in
ever
Doctor
had,
Who
probably.
ever. Maybe Twin Dilemma, but.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. There's parts of Twin Dilemma I quite like, so maybe we should do a comparison video. The worst finale ever. Maybe we should watch both and compare them. See which is the ultimate worst finale in all of time. You haven't watched Twin Dilemma yet, have you?
I haven't, no.
You're in for a treat.
I'm sure I am.
It's something. I love Colin Baker in it. Like... there's something I love about Colin Baker.
Him strangling?
Yes. I mean, see, the thing is people always highlight that, but it's like a very small moment. And like, yeah, the point is the Doctor's kind of on edge after the regeneration. Like, that's all it is. And it's, yeah, but it wasn't the best.
Yeah, but that
it would have been better.
Damaged the...
Yeah, because they decided to put it at the end of a season rather than wait a whole season. Like, if they started with Twin Dilemma and then went Attack of the Cybermen, it would have been fine, because I feel like it would have been quite soon after that, these things got fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd story. I kind of want to watch it again now I'm talking about it. Twin Dilemma, I kind of want to watch that soon. Maybe that should be one of our reviews. Oh no, we're doing the other one, which we won't say now, but gonna watch it soon. And it's coming. We're sticking to it. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Push it to the limit. That's Scarface.
Get our first standard review in like.
Yeah, we're not doing batches anymore. We're just doing.
Yeah.
Because
like the last 2 reviews we did were Christmas specials.
Yeah, we're doing a 2016 to 2015, but the other way around, 2015 to 2016. It's just Husbands of River Song. Return of Dr. Mysterio. But there, I think that's pretty much it, really. I can't really think much else. I think I'm leaning on the side that I think Jodie will be leaving. I think she'll do a series and a special, and then that'll be it.
Which is a shame. I mean, again, I wouldn't... Yeah, once again, it's not done till it's done. Given what we've heard and what, even people... who, are saying that I somewhat trust the opinion of, like, it seems like it's quite a high likelihood, but, once again, it's not, until the BBC come out and say it, which may not be in too long if it is the case, then, I'm still gonna take it somewhat lightly, and not seriously think, oh my goodness, she's definitely going now or anything.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean,
that's all we can do.
We will. I think they'll announce it before they announce who the next Doctor is, though.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I think
that's what they usually do, is that they'll announce an actor's leaving. And then last time they had the big
reveal
event thing
bloody tennis
to reveal. Yeah, to reveal Peter Capaldi with the guy who constantly got the Doctor's name. What was it like?
Oh, Rufus
Peter
Hound.
Eccleston and
Rufus Hound. Yeah, I think he just freaked on this show because he said not 3 times and it was 4. I think he was just so not prepared for that he just kept making absolute blunders. The poor guy. After he made the first one, because he was thinking Peter Capaldi, so then Peter Eccleston, poor guy.
It could be Peter Davison, you were thinking.
Yeah, but it's because you could I remember he came out afterwards saying I am a real fan, please. On Twitter, I think, but yeah, poor guy. But yeah, so I hope they do a launch thing like that again. I thought it was really great when they did reveal Jodie like that. I thought it was very cool.
Well, Jodie, there was just they did the
video. I thought that was great. I just like those kind of reveals rather than Matt Smith, which was just like a newspaper cutting. is the reveal that I saw.
I think they just dropped the press.
They just did press release, yeah. But yeah, that's that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the podcast. Nice. Yeah. So, what do you guys think below? Do you think she's leaving?
Nothing really else to talk about.
Yeah, I think like it's just waiting now. Or the only thing I hope for is just consistent Doctor Who on TV again. But I mean, we can only dream.
Because good one there, Nick.
Clearly, as technology gets better, it just gets harder to make TV shows. Apparently,
I know, right? Well, to a certain extent, that's true. But again, it doesn't look that much better to where I think that really justifies it.
Yeah.
So, if it looked considerably better, then sure. But
the thing is, in 45 minutes to 50 minutes, like there's just it makes no difference, you know. To me, like it's like, what's it going to be like? Another 10-second clip? I mean, when you looked at the dregs in bloody Orphan 55, that was terrible.
Yeah.
So it's like, great. I sacrificed 2 episodes, 3 episodes of a season for this. Nice.
I don't think that's the whole story, but
I want to know more. I want to know the inside. I want to get on the inside. I'm gonna find this out. Gonna
get your hacking skills up together.
No, I'll just do a classic way. I'll crawl an event and just eavesdrop. See, nobody would expect that. Everyone expects hackers these days. Nobody expects a good old eavesdropper.
Assuming that they're spontaneously talking about it at that particular
Of course
moment.
they will. Conrad, in movies, they always seem to talk about it at the exact moment that they need to. So, clearly that's art imitating life. So, there we go.
So, Nick.
Oh my god, I can hear Chibnall right now. What's he saying? Oh my god. He's doing it because he hates the fan base? Wow. That's crazy. No, I don't think he hates the fan base. I just think he's just got a very different opinion on what Doctor Who should be. And I think it's just not
a very jaded mindset of it, like as I mentioned earlier. I think it's just a bit, he's seen it all. He's been there, done that, and now, he's decided, I don't like a lot of this. Let's chuck it out.
Yeah. But everyone did like it. That's the issue.
Exactly. It's like the Star Wars thing,
Yeah.
After you like everything out.
Sometimes you do need to change, and I get that, but some changes aren't necessary, It's like, if you change the origins of Luke, like he wasn't in fact Darth Vader's child after all, like how awful would that have been? That's the kind of change.
Grand Moff Tarkin's son.
Yeah, that's the kind of change, like, that the Timeless Child was. I feel like if you went back and retrospectively changed that, that's the kind of yikes. Because that would have changed everything. Every time you'd watch Empire Strikes Back, it'd be like, nah, not true.
Yeah.
Which I'd hate that, Ugh, that gives me shivers. I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Right, well, there we go. Comment below what you think, or who you think the next Doctor should be, if Jodie is changing. And yeah, what do you think? What do you think? What do you know? If you know something, let us know. But I doubt anybody actually knows.
Give us the scoop.
Yeah, give us the scoop. We'll pay you in crisp high fives.
Exposure.
Yeah, exposure. Actually, you can pay us to expose you. So there we go. Oi, oi. So we'll be back next week, I think, because things are. I mean, lockdown 3.0. Don't have too much to do, I guess, and I'm just on grad project now, which now I've had to delay filming, so that's great. Got a lot to do on that, but also I've now got like 3 months to work on everything rather than a month and a half. So yeah, fun times. Right, we'll see you next time, guys.